Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Sandbox again, see kind of what's going on here. Hopefully you understand a little bit more about the price action that we've seen here recently. Now to preface, of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to trade. Been trading for a very long time and my goal is to help you become a better trader. So I hope you're going to learn something here today. Before we jump in here, I do want you to know I have a website under development, of course, but it does allow for you to become a community member and also have the opportunity to become a better trader, essentially. I have training videos, everything you need to know in my trading academy, and I also send out signals for every single trade that I take, so you can kind of learn how to structure your trades. So if you want interest in that, check that out. Website is CryptoCache.tech, link in the description below. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get right in here. So starting with Sandbox. One thing to note is we're under the 50-day set moving average and above the 200. A lot of coins are in that same scenario right now, so they're not super relevant at this point, so we don't need to worry too much about those. What we should worry about a little bit is some key level resistances. We got 389, basically 390 as a key level resistance right now. That's worked as a resistance 2 times in the past and again here today. So if we can get back above that, start making higher highs and higher lows, we'll be in much better shape. But for right now, this is a good sign. We got the price action moving up. You just got to keep in mind, though, that Bitcoin's up about 9 or 10% on the day. And that happened in, of course, about 3 to 4 hours. So be very careful and cautious how you proceed because Bitcoin isn't, definitively back on track, right? It's still considered to be somewhat bearish. It has broken a trend line, which is important, but it's still under some key level resistances, and that's something to also understand. Sandbox is no exception as well in a lot of ways. It's moving, we've got a higher high, sure, but we don't have, much in the ways of, confirmation, right? I like to have confirmation to make sure that we are making higher highs. I think I misspoke. Actually, this is technically higher lows. We haven't made a higher high yet, right? So higher high is still yet to come. Once we can break past this plane of about $4.10, then I think we'll be in much better shape. I'd prefer the price to close above 420 in the near future, and then we'll feel a lot better about being on the right side of the tracks. And what I mean by that is we're still under 50 on the RSI. That's a key level resistance, which is synonymous in a lot of ways with $4.20 or $3.90. That resistance plane, right? So we're seeing a lot of resistance in this area. Something we want to look at too is also the volume profile. Excuse me. Kind of see where we're at here. All right. So taking a look at the volume here, what we want to know is the fact that where the most volume accumulation is going to work as either a foundation or a resistance. In other words, support and resistance based on volume. So we look here at about 450 or 460. We've got a lot of volume there, of course, before the bottom dropped out from Sandbox. Now, there's been a lot of volume accumulation in the recent past. Price points right around $3, as well as right about 378. Okay, so majority of the volume is below the price action right now. Just know when we get up to 460, we might see some resistance. Okay, that's kind of what it's telling us. And that's kind of important to understand too with Sandbox. We can also look at the big picture here as well. So as soon as it started increasing, what did that look like? This is good. Strongest amount of volume accumulation right around 265. That's the lowest point in which Sandbox went recently. No coincidence. That's essentially the lowest point there. We should expect it to come down if Bitcoin were to lose its bottom. Now, obviously, it depends on how Bitcoin performs this weekend in the near future to establish that. But right now, we're looking good for Sandbox. Just know that where Sandbox is looking good because Bitcoin is recovered. Okay. It's not because Sandbox is a good coin and it's going to recover on its own. It's still synonymous with Bitcoin. This is a very similar movement to Bitcoin. Okay, so I just need you to understand that because a lot of coins, for the most part, are following the same system. Okay, so nothing special there. While I do feel Sandbox is a good, best in class, so to speak, it's one of the better gaming coins out there. I still don't think we're out of the woods yet. We got some key level resistances to get past first. Let's take a look at the 4 hour here. We're moving up above the 50-day set moving average. This is also very synonymous with a lot of other coins. Whereas the 50 is below the price, 200 is above the price, we could have a golden cross moving its way up. That's potential. Below that as well, we've got 50 on the RSI, which is now below the actual price action. So now we're considered to be more bullish on the midterm. Essentially just means that we've shifted over some important key level resistances there, and that we're going to transition from bearish to bullish on the long term, right? So the macro should start to translate to more bullish momentum, but we're not there yet until we pass, some of those resistance right around maybe 420 or even 390 to start. We're getting rejected at 390 for right now. I don't love that, but if we can get back above that and then break the plane of 420, we'll be in much better shape. We'll be up over the 200-day SMA on the 4 hour as well, and that's extremely important. One thing to note here, though, is the 4 hour chart is reflecting that we have a nice bullish continuation here and essentially having an option, of course, to have a MACD convergence, and that signal essentially tells us in a lot of ways that we are bullish and that we should expect to see the price continue to increase. So notoriously, most swing traders will look at that and effectively take that as a consideration to take a long position based on the simple fact that we have that shift in momentum. Again, the 4-hour chart I feel is the best time frame to identify midterm movements. In other words, what's happening on the micro, what's happening on the macro, it's the in between, right? It's a perfect place to be able to identify that shift. And when you see a MACD convergence, that does tell us we're going to expect the price to continue to progress upwards. Again, grain of salt, Bitcoin drops and it gets rejected out at 40,500. The Sandbox will effectively follow suit. Okay, please understand that. So that being said, we're not free from Bitcoin yet, so we got to kind of honor that specific thought process. But if we look here, we're going to be well above the cloud on Ichimoku Cloud. We have the conversion line essentially above the baseline here, and then the lagging span is free and clear of any price action. So we got basically 3 out of 3 indicators on the cloud telling us that we're good to go. If you have a long position right now, you want to hold it open. Okay, that's the concept. Until the conversion line intersects the baseline or the lagging span intersects the price action, we can literally leave this open and probably be pretty safe. Because again, Ichimoku Cloud is a fairly safe indicator. It tells you a lot. So essentially, until one of these 3 things happens, we can leave our long position open. So that's a really good sign here. So Sandbox is looking good there. And if we look at TD sequential, we'll probably see something very similar to a lot of other coins. Yep, we had this reset down to 1 or 2 or 3, which we saw there. And we've got these 3 strong hours of bullish continuation. And this is essentially Bitcoin's movement, right? Bitcoin went up 8.5%, exact 8.5% for Sandbox. So, Sandbox is effectively a 1-to-1 ratio right now with Bitcoin for the moment, which is actually good in a lot of ways. It's not exponentially larger or lower. It's actually moving synonymous. Now, I don't like coins that do that, of course, because we prefer them to break free. But with Bitcoin doing well, and if it were to consolidate, just say at 40,000 for some time, maybe slowly start to progress up to 42, 46, then we'll be in a much better position for Sandbox, right? It could effectively break free at that point. Until we get there, you need to understand how Bitcoin is behaving. So I have a link maybe up in the tags, I think, for Bitcoin. I made a video today. I make videos every day on Bitcoin. I recommend you consistently stay in the know of how Bitcoin is performing in order to identify what coins like this we're going to be doing. Okay, because again, if you can be good at one thing, be good at understanding how Bitcoin moves. It's a difficult thing to do, don't get me wrong. It's not something you're going to learn overnight, but on the same accord, if you have some kind of concept there, you acknowledge the fact that Bitcoin is the catalyst for Sandbox increasing here today by 10%, then you'll probably know why, and you can kind of come to better conclusions and understand things better. Most altcoins are reliant on Bitcoin. It's just the way it works. Okay, maybe someday it'll be different, but that's where we're at for now. So I hope you learned something here today. I would say that, again, to summarize, Sandbox is making higher lows. We just haven't had a higher high yet. And that's extremely important to be able to break that plane. I think we can close above 420 on the 1-day chart in the near future. That'd be extremely important. That would help us understand we're on the right side of the tracks. For right now, macro is still not completely bullish. The midterm is bullish, which should translate to a macro bullish momentum behavior, but we're not there yet. We need to see more continuation. We can't just have 3 hours of 10% increase and think that we're in good shape again, right? That is not confirmation. You need full-on confirmation for at least a full 24 hours. Always use the 1-day candlestick if you're going to use any type of indication of where we're at this point in time, right? This 3 hours means nothing compared to what it should if we can have a full 24 hours of understanding, right? Again, that's the whole concept. I teach all this stuff in my trading academy. Make sure to check that out in your own time, of course. Link in the description below and or just CryptoCache.tech. That's the website. Still under development. I hope you can be patient there. We're going to have some market data there as well, live market data. Really excited for that. That'll come here in a couple weeks once my web developers are all finished. But you can register. You can gain access to the Trading Academy, my signals, and my private chat, of course, where we all communicate and learn and grow together. Awesome stuff. Check it out. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you next video. Take care.